Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is 8:30 a.m. in Fairfield, Pennsylvania. When you are here, if you are here already, let me know in the comments that you're here. I have a little bit of a lag, like 10 seconds, but I should see your comments in a few seconds and start welcoming you to the broadcast. So, who wants to be Insta famous? Everybody, right? Drop me down a comment if you want to be Insta famous. Yeah, I know it's a ridiculous question. Waiting for you for your comments. I'm gonna be chatting a little bit till I see that someone is there and wants to greet us and let us know where are you tuning in from. Who is from the US? Is there anybody from the US? I see people joining. Great. Fantastic to have you here in the morning. And how fantastic. Some people want to be Insta famous. That was, of course, a joke. I don't know how Insta famous you can be with pathology images. Some people are. And I have people from Hershey, fantastic. I have people from India. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, world. Keep dropping me. Where are you tuning in from? Instafamous. Well, maybe I'm not the right authority to talk about Instafamous because I'm not really Instafamous. Later, I'm going to show you my Instagram feed, but we're going to talk about how to take good microscopic pictures. I take them for photography, but it counts basically for any. I take them for pathology, but it counts for any type of microscopic photography. More for the scientific side than the artistic side, although you can also take for art. So we are gonna start. I'm gonna prepare also something for you. We're gonna start with the equipment. So obviously we need a microscope, or if somebody has access to whole slide images, then you don't need the microscope. And before I dive in deeper into the equipment, let me know if you can hear me clear and you can see me well. This is very important. I want to know if you can hear and see. Can you hear me and see me? I don't know if you can hear me. Yes, okay, fantastic. You can hear me loud and clear. This is great. Thank you for letting me know. So, we are going to be talking about the equipment. So, there are different tiers of equipment that we can use. We need a microscope. Let's assume we need a microscope. So I assume everybody who's joining me needs a microscope, and has a microscope or has access to a microscope. And a full disclosure, I'm going to be talking to you about some equipment that assume that I'm an affiliate for whatever I'm talking about, unless I say otherwise. And what does it mean, affiliate? That if you buy this equipment through the links that I provide, which if you want, I can provide you, you let me know in the comments, then I get a small percentage of this price. So here is the disclosure. On another note, if I didn't like this equipment, I wouldn't recommend it. So this is basically what I use. And I am affiliate for everything I'm going to be talking about except for a phone. I'm not an affiliate for a phone. So, and I see people joining from Europe. Hey, Moritz, so great to hear you, to see you, read you. Okay, so phone. We start with the phone. What you do, you basically take your phone and try to visualize your field of view in the microscope. And it may be all you need for good microscopic pictures, because the phone cameras are so good now. They are really high resolution. You can zoom in on the phone. You can have the objective, the power you want to use, and you don't need anything else than the phone, unless you're a little bit impatient like I am. And I am a little bit impatient. but I'm going to show you later in a second who is more patient than me and has freaking fantastic pictures. And I would consider her Instafamous in the pathology world. But what I'm using an adapter for the phone. So it has a specific case. It lives in this case. And the company I work with is Scoped Micro. So if you want more details on this, just let me know. Scoped Micro or phone case in the comments. But basically, this has a little attachment to the case that it lives in, and then it has an eyepiece adapter. So the important thing is, because I tried many of those cases from Amazon where you can like just take your phone and attach it with some screws and something, very disruptive to the workflow and doesn't really hold the phone. And then I found out about this thing that has this eyepiece adapter. So what's happening, you take the eyepiece out of the microscope, put this thing with your phone instead, and you take pictures. And this attaches to this disc that I have here. And then I put this thing into my microscope, and then I take control on the screen. This thing also has an app if you want to share, but you can just share it on WhatsApp if you want to share. So very handy thing for a non-disruptive, you have your phone if you need a quick consultation. So that's the kind of second tier of equipment. And then if you like it, if you have a trinocular microscope, if you want to take it a little bit to the next level with more editing capacities, you can think of a microscope camera. And I have one that I'm using. It's called Path 4K from iMiller microscopes. This one normally sits on my microscope on the trinocular, so I don't have to take an eyepiece out. So because taking an eyepiece is a little bit disruptive when you like are in the flow and are looking at things and don't want to take this thing out and put it back in. So then if you want that, if you really like need more pictures, then you get the microscope camera. This one is cool because it is 4K, so it's a super high resolution. It has a streaming option. It has many different options, and that I can also let you know more about if you leave me the comment in the chat. Comment phone case for the phone case, comment camera for the camera. I can do it separately. For now, I just wanted to let you know about those 3 different tiers of equipment. So just phone, adapter, and a microscope camera. This is our equipment. Let me look at my notes. The second thing is, what about the quality of those pictures? Well, sharp picture is a no-brainer. It has to be sharp. But sharp means a little bit different for those who take pictures of an anatomic pathology image, anatomic pathology slide, and for those who take pictures of cytology slides. Because on anatomic pathology slide, it should be flat. It shouldn't have like different levels of focus. Sometimes it has, but usually big chunks of the slide are on the same level, and you focus on what you want to see, what you want to show in the picture. Whereas in cytology, we have many levels. That's why we use for Z-stacking for appropriate whole slide imaging. We have to image at different levels. And depending on what you want to show, which cell, which clump of cells, which part of the cell, if you want to show granules, something cellular that is of importance, this is where you're going to be focusing on. So, do you do cytology or anatomic pathology? Let me know in the comments what slide modality are you using. Is it cytology or is it tissue? Cytology or tissue? Let me know. I'm going to be waiting for a couple of comments. But these are the 2 modalities, and that's why focus, especially on the cytology side, is a little bit tricky. Very much depends what you want to show. Sometimes you need multiple pictures to show what you want to show because those cells are like crooked in the smear and they don't want to sit in the same level. So quality, also composition of the picture belongs to the quality. If anybody is interested, like me, and interested in photography in general, you probably have heard of the rule of thirds. And I see that we have some comments. We have cytology in the comments. So yeah, and then cytology, especially if you're in practice or in a clinic, then the phone case probably is going to be what you're going to be using. Cool for non-disruptive workflow when you're running around the clinic. And we also have some anatomic pathology, so we have both here. Thanks for representing both fields. I'm more anatomic pathology. Sometimes I make smears for fun, and you can see this on Instagram, just out of some different secretions like runny nose or something like that. Anyway, so composition. You probably have heard of rule of thirds. So if you look now at the screen and you would divide it into thirds vertically and into thirds horizontally, then for nice composition in the non-pathology world, you would want to place your subject of interest at any of those the line crossings. So here, like my eye I'm not supposed to be in the middle. I'm supposed to be a little to the side, and my head should be, or my eye, the best should be where the lines cross. This is like beautiful composition. Unless you're doing portrait, forget about it. This is not what we do in pathology, especially on the science side rather than or the art side. We want to have the thing that we want to show in the center of the image. And for conferences or for any type of scientific communication, especially when you are communicating with people who are from a different background than yours, you want to show something that they're not so familiar with. First of all, the thing should be in the center. And if it cannot be on the center, or if there are multiple, you make some kind of markups. You make a star, or anybody who did a poster for a conference, you have to put an arrow, you have to put a star exactly at the thing that you want to show. So on social media, the images are usually used for some kind of education, sometimes for entertainment because they're pretty, and I use this a lot. I put pretty picture without too much of educational value other than saying what the tissue is, which can also tissue and cell and whatever there is, which sometimes, depending on the level where people are and the granularity of information that they need, is useful as well. So this always provides this information, even if it's just for fun picture. But composition, stuff that we want to show in the center, because then when somebody scrolls in their feed and has this little opportunity to learn something and actually reads the caption, this has to be in the center. And especially on Instagram, those things that are square, center of the square. Then the information that you want to convey depends on, or rather the magnification, the level of zoom that you want to include. So combination of your objective, eyepiece, and the zoom on your phone or on your camera that you can apply if that's the case as well. Depends on what do you want to show. So there are lesions or changes. We can divide the changes into patterns and then cellular changes from the visual standpoint. Obviously, patterns are something that is composed of cellular changes, but patterns, you see them at a lower magnification. You don't zoom in so much because sometimes you recognize a change by its pattern and not by the single cell. You don't have to go to a very high magnification. So if you want to show a change that is change in the pattern of tissue, then you go low magnification, low zoom. If you want to show cell and cytology, that's what you want to show always. That's why it's called cytology. I know. Cytology, you're gonna go super high power and even higher than what I have on my microscope. So cytology will have 100x, might have oil immersion. My microscope is up to 40x, and that's totally enough for an anatomic pathologist. So that's going to be the level of magnification. If it's pattern, you need to show the whole pattern. So I see this also as a bit of a confusion factor when developing image analysis models, because there you do annotation. So you basically annotate the structure of interest. And often, if you want, I talk to people who want to develop models for a pattern change on a cellular level. And it doesn't make sense, because the cells, without the context of the pattern, in isolation, they look okay. Only if you have the comparison to other cells that are maybe bigger, smaller, whatever, there's the difference. So both for visual perception, for showing in the picture, like liver hypertrophy, you have cells that are bigger, but you have to compare them to the rest of the organ of the liver, they're smaller. So this is a pattern, whereas cytology, everything is a cell, or a single cell necrosis is a cell. Then you go and do an image of this cell. So composition, no rule of thirds, everything in the center. And if you want to draw an arrow or put the star, you put it there. And checking my notes to not bore you with unnecessary fluff. Then we have the magnification, pattern, lower magnification, you show more, cell, higher magnification, you show more. And sometimes for cytology, if you want this to be diagnostic, not just informative, if you're consulting this, you might need to show it at different focus levels. You might need to take a series of pictures of things that are next to each other, or you can actually make a video, because both with cameras and with phones, you can basically do a video and start driving the slides, start looking at the slides under the microscope, and you can record on video. So this is super diagnostic, super informative if you want to show just more than one thing. And then if we want to be Instafamous, or if we just want to make pictures that are beautiful for conferences, for presentations, for any type of communication, medical, scientific communication, we need to do some editing. But don't worry, we do not need to master Photoshop. There's one thing, one and only thing. If you have taken care of the picture is sharp, the picture is bright enough, which it's gonna be, because if you have auto exposure on your phone and you have bright light from the microscope, you basically don't need to worry about if it's too dark or too light. And this you can adjust, just personal preference. But there's one thing that you should always do. And when you look at my Instagram feed, which I'm going to show you in a second, you will know where I did it and where I didn't do it. This is white balance. White balance. So you find this in your, so what I use for my photo from the camera, from the phone editing, is a free app called Snapseed. And there is an option to do white balance. And how you do it, you choose this option and you point this option pointer to a white place in your image. And it assigns a white value to this place and adjusts other colors accordingly. If you have ever seen some grayish pictures on presentations or posters, yellowish ones, or any other type of filter, unintended filter, this is where somebody didn't do the white balance. For scientific, for microscopic pictures, you do want to do that. It's not really, sky, sunset, or anything. You're showing something that, of course, it's pretty, but the point is to keep the colors as they are when you're looking under the microscope. So this is something that you want to do, white balance. And you can do this in the Snapseed. You can do this on the microscope camera. There is an option for that. But basically, this is what's going to take your pictures to the next level. And I want to show you just the difference where I did it and where I didn't do it on my screen. I think I can present screen. 1 second. And then I also wanted to show you the share show you the Instagram. Okay, you'll see. So here I didn't do it. Here I did do it. Here I did do it. Here I did do it. But here it doesn't look like I did it. So you can see that this background here is grayish. This is some kind of yellowish. And this is a different stain, so this doesn't count. But everything that is just H&E, here white is white. That was cytology. It had a bunch of dirt in the background, so let's not count that one. But here white is white. I'm looking for something. Here white is not so white. This is whiter. This is so. But basically, the purpose of white balance is that white is white. And let's see if I can show you this other lady who is fantastic. And she doesn't use any equipment. She just uses her phone, I think iPhone. Kate. She's working in a veterinary pathology lab. And look at this. 36.6K followers. She sure is Instafamous in the pathology world. So this is her style, and that's how she takes her pictures with, here I think she didn't do white balance. Here she did. But basically she just uses her phone. And the interesting thing is in the center, she's like, I follow her and like all of her pictures because they are really beautiful. Not only informative, she always writes something there about, she actually educates. I'm less educational. I just show the ones that are pretty. But she educates. She just uses her phone, and she has over 36,000 people who want to look at her pictures. So this is fantastic. I hope this was useful for you. And this was just a quick live to tell you how to take better pictures. So choose your equipment. If you have patience, totally go with your phone. If you have less patience, so this find an adapter. And if you want any information about the adapter or the camera, just drop me a comment. I can send you more information about that. Then composition, no rules of thirds, everything in the center, in focus, especially important for cytology, what you want to show. Magnification, if it's pattern, show it at lower mag. If it's something specific, small, then show it at higher mag. Don't do the cell. Well, you can do a series of pictures, but basically, often in pathology, the pattern is already diagnostic, so show the pattern. And for editing, one thing to remember always is the white balance. And one additional information, even if you want to publish on a poster for a scientific poster or blow them up, print them out as artwork or whatever, phones, especially the high phones, the newer phones, are totally enough. You don't need anything else. But if you want to be more fancy, a camera is a good thing to go. So thank you so much for joining me.